All right, good afternoon and welcome. I'm Corporal Chris Marshall, Provincial Public Information Officer for the Nova Scotia RCMP, and I'll be your moderator for this media availability. Bonjour et bienvenue, je suis le caporal Chris Marshall, agent d'information provincial de la GRC de la Nouvelle-Écosse. Je serai votre modérateur cet après-midi. First, I acknowledge that we're in Mi'kma'ki, the traditional and unceded ancestral territory of the Mi'kmaq people. I also recognize that African Nova Scotians are a distinct people whose histories, legacies, and contributions have enriched the part of Mi'kma'ki known as Nova Scotia for over 400 years. Premièrement, je reconnais que nous nous trouvons en Mi'kma'ki, le territoire ancestral, traditionnel et non cédé du peuple Mi'kmaq. Je reconnais également que les Néo-Écossais d'origine africaine constituent un peuple distinct dont l'histoire, l'héritage et les contributions ont enrichi cette partie de Mi'kma'ki connue sous le nom de la Nouvelle-Écosse depuis plus de 400 ans. This afternoon, you'll hear from Chief Superintendent Sue Black, Criminal Operations Officer for the Nova Scotia RCMP, Sergeant Rob Frizzell, Operations Non-Commissioned Officer, West Hants RCMP, and Premier Tim Houston. Cet après-midi, vous entendrez la surintendante principale Sue Black, officier responsable des enquêtes criminelles de la GRC de la Nouvelle-Écosse, le sergent Rob Frizzell, sous-officier des opérations de la GRC de West Hants, et le Premier ministre Tim Houston. Chief Superintendent Black will provide a brief opening statement in both official languages in relation to the search for the 4 people reported missing on July 22nd, and Sergeant Frizzell will give further details, which I will then provide in French. Premier Houston will offer remarks before we move into a question and answer period. La surintendante principale Black fera une brève déclaration d'ouverture dans les 2 langues officielles concernant la recherche des 4 personnes portées disparues le 22 juillet, et le sergent Frizzell donnera d'autres détails que je présenterai ensuite en français. Le Premier ministre Houston prononcera quelques mots avant que nous passions à la période de questions et réponses. Chief Superintendent Black, I invite you to the podium. Surintendant principal Black, je vous invite à prendre la parole.
Thank you, Christian. Hello, everyone. I regretfully share with you that earlier today, we recovered the remains of a man who was reported missing on July 22nd when the region was experiencing the extreme flood conditions. J'ai le regret de vous annoncer que nous avons retrouvé aujourd'hui les restes de l'homme qui avait été porté disparu le 22 juillet durant des conditions d'inondation extrêmes. Additionally, human remains were also located in a different area, and we are working with the Nova Scotia Medical Examiner's Office with regard to positively identifying these remains. Dans un deuxième endroit, les restes humains ont également été retrouvés et nous travaillons avec le bureau de médecins légistes de la Nouvelle-Écosse avant d'identifier avec certitude les restes. Our hearts are broken for the families and loved ones of those who went missing over the weekend. Nous avons le cœur brisé pour les familles et les proches de personnes disparues au cours de la fin de semaine. I cannot begin to imagine how devastating the last days have been, and I want to extend my sincere condolences on behalf of everyone at the Nova Scotia RCMP. Je ne peux imaginer à quel point les derniers jours ont été difficiles et je tiens à exprimer mes sincères condoléances au nom de tous les employés de la GRC de la Nouvelle-Écosse. The families and loved ones of those missing have been at the forefront of our thoughts since the beginning of the search efforts. Les familles et les proches des personnes disparues sont au centre de nos pensées depuis le début des recherches. I would also like to acknowledge those who have been working day and night to find the missing, including volunteers from partner agencies. Many of these folks and ours have personal connections to the families and this community. This is hard work under difficult circumstances. Je tiens à remercier tous ceux qui ont travaillé jour et nuit pour retrouver les disparus, y compris les bénévoles des agences partenaires. Plusieurs de ces personnes et les nôtres ont des liens personnels avec les familles et cette communauté. C'est un travail difficile dans des circonstances très difficiles. I'd like to turn things over now to Sergeant Rob Frizzell, who will provide more details on the continuing search efforts. Je cède la parole au sergent Rob Frizzell qui fournira de plus amples détails sur les efforts de recherche en cours. Merci.
Thank you, ma'am. Good afternoon. I'm Sergeant Robert Frizzell. I'm the Operations Non-Commissioned Officer for West Hants District RCMP, and I'd like to provide an update in regards to the search activities that have continued throughout the day today. We have a number of partners and stakeholders who have been assisting us in the search efforts, including approximately 60 ground search and rescue personnel from West Hants, East Hants, and Valley search and rescue teams. We have 2 RCMP police dog service teams on site, as well as RCMP Air Services and a Department of Natural Resources and Renewable helicopter, as well as a second helicopter being provided to us by a private contractor. We've also continued to try and reduce the water level in the primary search area through the use of industrial high-flow pumping equipment. At approximately 9 a.m. this morning, the body of a 52-year-old Windsor man who had been reported missing was located by searchers in the primary search area. Then, at approximately 11:30 a.m. This morning, human remains were located by civilians in Kings County, Nova Scotia. At this time, we are working with the Nova Scotia Medical Examiner's Office in identifying the remains, and we are unable to provide further details at this time. Our officers have been in contact with all the families of the 4 missing people throughout this search, and we will continue to remain engaged with them as we go forward. Our search is continuing, and we will provide further updates once they are available. Thank you.
Alors maintenant pour les remarques de Sergent Frizzell en français. Alors le Sergent Rob Frizzell est le sous-officier des opérations du district de West Hants de la GRC. Il aimerait faire le point sur les activités de recherche qui se sont poursuivies tout au long de la journée aujourd'hui. Nous avons un certain nombre de partenaires et d'intervenants qui participent aux efforts de recherche, y compris environ 60 membres du personnel de recherche et de sauvetage au sol des équipes de recherche et de sauvetage de West Hants, d'East Hants et de Valley. 2 équipes cynophiles de la GRC sont sur place, ainsi que les services aériens de la GRC, un hélicoptère du ministère des Ressources naturelles et des énergies renouvelables et un 2e hélicoptère fourni par un entrepreneur privé. Nous avons également continué à essayer de réduire le niveau d'eau dans la zone de recherche principale en utilisant des équipements industriels, les équipements de pompage à haut débit. Vers 9 h ce matin, les restes de l'homme de Windsor âgé de 52 ans qui avait été porté disparu a été localisé par les chercheurs dans la zone de recherche primaire. Vers 11h30 ce matin, les restes humains ont été retrouvés par une personne dans le comté de Kings. Pour le moment, nous travaillons avec le bureau du médecin légiste de la Nouvelle-Écosse pour identifier les restes et nous ne sommes pas en mesure de fournir d'autres détails. Nos agents ont été en contact avec les familles des 4 personnes disparues tout au long des recherches et nous continuerons à le faire. Les recherches se poursuivent et nous fournirons d'autres informations dès qu'elles seront disponibles. I'll now turn it over to Premier Houston for his remarks. Premier?
Thank you, everyone. Good afternoon. It's a heartbreaking day for our province. The 4 missing souls and their families have been on everyone's minds across the province, and it's difficult to comprehend the magnitude of the tragedy and the loss that we're feeling today. So my sincere condolences to the family. We can rebuild roads and bridges and buildings, but we can't bring people back. And the legacy for these floods will be the incredibly tragic loss of life. I do want to say that the heroic efforts of members of the RCMP and volunteer firefighters, search and rescue teams, community members, completely heroic efforts to return these people safely has been awe-inspiring. I had a chance to be down on site and talk to a number of them. So sincere condolences to the family members, and these are losses that our province will never get over. We continue to pray for the safe return of the 2 remaining souls. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Premier. All right, so we will now proceed with the question and answer period. For the benefit of everybody here, we just ask that you provide your name, the outlet you represent, and to whom your question is directed. We're limiting it to one question and one follow-up. Nous allons maintenant passer à la période de questions-réponses. Pour le bénéfice de tous les participants, veuillez indiquer votre nom, le point de vente que vous représentez et à qui s'adresse votre question. Nous vous demandons de poser seulement une question et un suivi. So I guess, Creason, we'll start with you.
Is there any assurance that the other two people that you were searching for will be found later today, or how is that looking right now?
Okay, Rob, I think we'll get you to answer that.
Thank you. Right now there's extensive searches going on with multiple agencies with multiple different resources. Due to the geography and the scale, we can't say for sure when somebody would or wouldn't be located, other than to say we're making extensive efforts to try and go as quickly as possible to find all the involved people.
Do you have a follow-up, Creason, or no? You're good? Good.
Paul Palmer, CDC. What can you tell us about the human remains? You're saying Kings County. Who were they discovered by? What part of Kings County? What can you tell us about that?
Sure. For respect for the family, I can't give you any further details that might identify those other remains. Right now we're working with the medical examiner to properly identify all the involved parties, and until that time I can't really give you much more information as to who or what state or anything specific that way.
Found in water, shoreline?
One of the remains was found in water, and a second was found near a waterway, but on shore.
Mike, Dutton?
I'm just, I guess, trying to clarify sort of Paul. So the two people, you've identified one, and that's related to the original four. You've identified second human remains. Does that relate to the original four as well, or is that possibly another person?
As it stands right now, we're still trying to make a determination of that second remains of who they are. So I can't say with absolute certainty that they are involved with the first initial four. We have reason to believe they most likely are, but I can't give you a confirmation that way. We don't believe there's any other outstanding missing people at this time. It's just the four.
And are the two that you're continuing to search for children?
I can't give you any specifics of the other remaining ones, just due to the fact that we're still trying to determine the identity of that second we found, so sorry.
I just wanted, there were two losses, two separate incidents. One was two children, then was two other people. So are the person that's 52-year-old, I'm sorry, Windsor man, that would be in the older man and the youth group, correct?
Yeah, without getting too convoluted on you, there's two separate vehicles, but we both were swept over in the same area. So although they are two separate vehicles and two distinct different groups of people, they both happen in very close proximity in a very short matter of time. So there's kind of one main area. One vehicle has two people outstanding, like you've mentioned, and a second vehicle has another two outstanding.
And is this all, it's the Kings County thing that I think is a little bit, is that some distance from the Hants County marshlands we were looking at?
It is. So the second remains was found within Kings County area. They were near a tidal system or near water, so we have reason to believe that they most likely moved along those waterways there. But yeah.
Any approximate distance?
I don't have that number or the distance for you at this time, though. Sorry.
Very general.
Sarah, we're going to move to you.
Sorry.
Premier, we've been through Fiona, we've been through fires, and now this. And what people have often said when talking about those events is, thank goodness, there was no loss of life. And yet here we are talking about a loss of life. What are your thoughts on that and on this year, I guess, as well, in terms of all this?
Yeah, there's no question. Damage to property, damage to roads, buildings, all that stuff. you know, we always look through that and say we can rebuild, and we got through that. But now the loss of life is it certainly brings a new perspective to the magnitude of these crises that we've been facing with the fires, with, you know, floods, other floods, hurricanes and stuff. So it just it's I think for me personally, it's just a reminder of how fragile things are, how fragile life is, and this is a really difficult one, that's for sure.
In terms of the rescues, you've mentioned them a couple times in this conference. Are we aware of the number of JRCC rescues, the number of people who sort of were plucked from a helicopter, that sort of thing, and how that tool benefited or helped save other people?
I don't have a number to hand, but I can tell you, just from speaking with first responders, I know that I think one of the fire departments told me they had over 100 rescue calls just on Friday night. So we know that the efforts of our first responders saved a lot of lives, for sure. Some of the rescues that I've talked to people that were involved with, you know, rescuing people from trees, rescuing people from really precarious situations, fast running water, and just the selflessness of the heroic actions of our first responders. RCMP members for sure here, having a chance to speak with some of them, but volunteer firefighters, search and rescue teams who are out there on the ground, support from the Coast Guard. A lot of people stepped up, and their efforts saved lives, for sure. There's no question about that. I don't have the number of rescues. So.
I've got a question for one of the officers. Alan Smith of Global News. I understand you found a pickup truck. Can you give us the status of the second vehicle? Has that been located? Has there been any indication of a second vehicle? And what can you tell us about where the search goes from here?
Sure. We have located both vehicles, so there was 2 separate vehicles. They were very close in proximity in that same area that we're calling the primary search area. Both of those vehicles have been located and searched. Yeah. And then, sorry, as your second or your follow-up part was?
Where does the search go from here? Does it get scaled back at all where you found 2 human remains? Can you just talk about where things go moving forward?
Sure. It goes full force, so there's all hands on deck right now. I've been to the scene and down there, and the element of cooperation and support from the community is really outstanding. Like the amount of food and support and volunteers that are working long hours in really sweaty, hot, miserable conditions. All of those people are committed to stay as long as it takes and to continue to search extensively. We've engaged multiple support services within the RCMP and without, just to try and leave no stone unturned and to continue those efforts.
Do you have any idea how many people are involved in this search, whether it's police, JRCC, search and rescue? Do you have any total number of participants?
Our current total as of today, right before we came, there was 66 just search and rescue volunteers alone, not to mention all the other support ones. So we're easily into the realm of hundreds of people over the multiple days and nights as this has been going on.
Jason, do you have any?
Hi, I'm Lindsay Jones from the Global Mail. I have a question about the ages of the children that are out there. Can you speak to how old they are?
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm not available to provide you with the specifics of those ages at this time. Just out of respect for the family or any identifying information, I can tell you that we consider 3 of them to be youth, so under the age of 18 and 1 adult. But as to their exact age, sorry, I can't share that with you at this time.
Okay, and for follow-up, the 52-year-old Windsor man that was found, was he found in the water or on the
Right, he was found in that primary search area in the water, yes.
in the flood area, floodplain area?
Where we're calling the prime area, yeah, correct.
Jason, do you have?
The 52-year-old that died, was he connected with, which other person was he connected with? There's 2 people in each vehicle, right?
Correct, yeah.
So do we have 2 people that were from the same vehicle that have now been found? Or do we have 1 from each vehicle? Or do we know?
Just for the respect of the family, we just wouldn't want, and I'm sure you can appreciate too, that if the family was to find out through media or news without all of the family and extended family that someone was deceased, that would be really, really pretty horrible. So we're being very reserved on any information about that second person. So I apologize, but I can't give that information at this time.
You had your hand up there. You good?
Yeah, the weather is kind of a blessing and a curse in that it's dry and warm and clear, which helps the helicopter search for sure with no clouds in the sky. That's been a benefit. The flip side is it's very warm, as you can see there. So there's multiple members in full body wetsuits and protective equipment in that area, and that heat is definitely taking a toll. Again, thankfully, all the support from the municipality, the community. There's multiple like hydration stations, people, tents, all kinds of things to try and keep them cool and refreshed so they continue to do that search.
We have time for one more question, so I think Sarah.
Describe some of the special techniques and tools that the search and rescue crews have at their avail, whether it's the helicopter, like what can the helicopter do besides search from above? What can the boats do besides search from the water for sonar? Can you give us a bit of detail of the techniques and what they're doing right now?
Sure. The RCMP, as well as the province with the Ground Search and Rescue Program, have some very well-trained members that are kind of the search commanders or the incident commanders, and they make the determination of the best tool for the job. So there are people, there's a hovercraft there that can go into areas that maybe a boat can't. There's particular searchers that have flotation devices and can walk in chest-deep water. The helicopter helps doing larger area higher up and can cover a bigger area, but a lot of this area requires on the foot step by step through that area. So each tool has its own unique purpose for sure, but then there's very smart, well-trained people dictating and coordinating where to put those resources.
All right, everybody, that concludes our media availability. Thank you very much. Si conclut notre point de presse. Merci. We'll have to just see how things go, Mike, so I don't know. Today? No, not today. No, not today. Thank you.